Welcome to Milwaukee's Hidden Treasure. Today, I'm going to take you with me to a great adventure. We will go visit some of Milwaukee's historical buildings in town. Are you ready for the experience? This is Milwaukee's Hidden Treasure. Milwaukee was established in 1846. Currently, Milwaukee is a city recognized by its international famous companies and places like Harley-Davidson, Milwaukee Art Museum, Miller Park, and others. Milwaukee has a unique combination between modern buildings and historical treasures constructions. This city has a great story to talk about and to come visit and walk through its treasury streets. We have surely heard about the Pabst Brewery and the Pabst Theater, really known places in town. Well, today, I'm in the Pabst family mansion. We will go inside to explore and learn more about the Pabst family.
Hello and welcome to the Pabst Mansion.
Pretty nice mansion. Before we start with this interview, can you tell us a little bit brief history of the Pabst Mansion, the origin, and when was it built and who designed this?
The Pabst Mansion was built starting in 1890. It took 2.5 years to build it. They actually felt that was a little bit too much time, but it was worth it, the end result. It was going to be $75,000 to build it, but by the time they were finished, it ended up costing $250,000, which is $30 million in today's money. Captain Pabst went to 3 different architects before he found something that he really liked. The third set of architects were 2 young men, and they came up with something that we call Flemish Renaissance Revival. And this really caught on. This made national magazines and is only one of about 5 Flemish Renaissance Revival mansions in the United States.
Talk to us about the family. Who founded this place, who were they, and how many people lived in this house?
Captain Pabst came to the United States in 1848 with his mom and dad. They landed in Milwaukee. There wasn't much going on here, and so they got on a boat and went down to Chicago. They were in Chicago for less than a year. There was a cholera epidemic, and Captain Pabst's mother died. He was 13 years of age, and so he got a job initially as a dishwasher, but then got a job working as a cabin boy for a boat company. He eventually bought his own boat and took it up the west shore of Lake Michigan, and that's where he met his future wife. His future wife's parents owned a small brewery in Milwaukee, and they convinced him to sell his boat and invest the money and become a partner in the brewery.
Can you tell us about a little bit of your personal experience? What's your favorite place in this whole big mansion, and why? Why is this like your favorite place?
I've been here about 2 years, and I love working here. It's a wonderful place to work. I have wonderful people I work with. And I would say that my favorite room when I started here was Captain Pabst's study. It looks like something in a German hunting castle. He had his area that he could keep his humidor for cigars. He had his desk. He had his private secret compartments. I really liked that room. I felt like I was in Germany. I have to say, after working here 2 years, my favorite room is his living room. It reminds me of my great-grandparents' house in Germany. We have a Christmas picture of the whole family, and there's the two windows, just like downstairs. I think it's very comfortable, and it makes me feel very good.
Was that also made at that time?
This was also made in the 90s.
The Pabst Mansion is one of a few prominent residences surviving from the days when Wisconsin Avenue was known as Grand Avenue. Today, experts agree that the Flemish Renaissance Revival Mansion, designed by Ferry and Class, has no equal in Milwaukee or in the Midwest. How was the social environment and lifestyle during the era when the Pabst family lived in this mansion?
When the Pabst family lived here, they were extremely wealthy people. They had electricity put in the house. Electricity was not common in Milwaukee in 1892. They also had central heat put in the house. This was also not common. So they invited a lot of people over, and they would have parties, and they would have electricity, and they could have heat in the winter, and this was really something spectacular.
And how was the time during that when they lived here? Was it like expensive? Was it like, how did they live in this area?
Okay, this was the street where all the wealthy families lived on in the 1870s, 1880s, and 1890s. So the wealthy people that lived here had all the conveniences. They had sewers, they had a trolley car that was pulled by horses, they had electricity, they had gas lines, they had water lines. So all the modern conveniences were delivered to the people that lived on this street. If you had money, this is the street you want to live on, because this had everything that you could want.
What was some of the most important or significant moments the family lived in this mansion, in this huge mansion?
Captain and Mrs. Pabst threw a lot of parties. They owned the Pabst Theater. Any famous star of the day, singer or actress or actor would have come here for a dinner party. They might have even performed in the house. And so they threw a lot of parties. They were very influential in Milwaukee. They started the Humane Society. They helped with the Musical Society, with the opera, and so they did a lot of entertaining. They had their daughter's wedding here, and when Captain Pabst died, his funeral was in this house also.
And what is this house made of? Like, I've seen that almost everything is kind of like wood, or what kind of wood is this?
Okay, the house is brick and limestone. Inside each room has a different type of wood. Some of the rooms are oak, some are walnut, some are mahogany, some are cherry. Captain and Mrs. Pabst loved different wood, beautiful woods, and so this house, every room is distinctive and a little bit different.
Oh, so every room has like their own significant wood or
right. Every room has its own unique style.
Oh, okay, cool. That's nice. So how can people contact you or get more information of the Pabst Mansion?
Okay, the Pabst Mansion is open 7 days a week. We have tours every hour, starting at 10 o'clock, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, and 3. The house closes at 4, but we're open 7 days a week, and we're also open on most holidays.
All right, and where can they get information? Do you have a website or a phone number?
We have a website. It's www.pabstmansion.com.
All right, well, thank you for being with us for the interview, and hope to see you next time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Wow, the Pabst Mansion really left me so impressed by the luxury and fancy stuff inside. Well, today I'm inside the Milwaukee Historical Society here in Milwaukee downtown. We're gonna go downstairs to talk with Ben. He's gonna talk to us about a little brief about the history of Milwaukee, but also the history of this building. So let's go downstairs and check it out. And the first question I want to ask you is about this building. When was it built?
The building was completed in 1913. They began construction in 1911. It took 2 years to build.
And who designed this building? Who was the architect?
It was designed by Kirchhoff and Rose, I believe, were the architects. They were prominent architects in Milwaukee in that era. They also designed a lot of buildings in Chicago.
Oh, okay. So they were kind of like famous people that.
Yes, definitely famous in that period.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And can you tell us about the history about this building? Because I heard it was kind of like it was used for something else before, and now it's something else right now.
Yes. So this originally was a bank building. It was the Second Ward Savings Bank. And the interesting thing about the bank was that many of the beer barons, the brewers, had their money here. They were presidents of the bank. They were on the board. And so there's design features in the building that highlight that brewing history. So around the columns at the top, there's hop spuds there. It has 7 large vaults in it, so it once was capable of holding large amounts of money and valuables and so forth. And now it's a museum. So in 1965, the bank branch closed. They donated the building, the owners of the bank donated the building to the county to house the Milwaukee County Historical Society.
So you're saying that mostly this bank was for like people that had breweries, kind of. So it was kind of like the Pabst brewery,
Yeah, so the family that ran the Pabst brewery, that ran the Schlitz brewery, and that ran the Blatz brewery were all instrumental in this bank. They were directors.
Was this also open like for the public
yes,
at that time?
Absolutely.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
It was definitely the sort of the neighborhood bank in the period 1920s.
Was the only one here in town, kind of? Or
no, there were several banks, but at that time this area had a lot more residential. There were a lot more people that lived around here, and then there were lots of businesses and so forth. So out our east window, that was all businesses. It's a park now, but it was all businesses before. So they would all have their money here as well.
You guys offer here to the public. What is this? A museum, and what's inside here?
Sure. So in our collection, we're both a research library, archives, if you will, and a museum. So in our collection, we have roughly 60,000 three-dimensional artifacts, 1 million documents, 1 million photographs. So what we are is we're sort of an educational opportunity for people to come and learn about Milwaukee history. You can come here, you can research your family, you can research the house that you live in, you can You can research local businesses in our research library, and then we do exhibits based off of our artifact collection. So our current exhibit is on the history of Milwaukee sports. We've done exhibits on architecture, beer and brewing, music. And so we try to be a place where people can learn about Milwaukee history and kind of celebrate this city as well.
Okay. So can you tell us a little bit of a little brief history of Milwaukee? When was it established, or what is?
Sure. The first residents in Milwaukee were Native Americans, and they've been here for roughly 12,000 years. There were lots of different tribes and nations over the time. European settlers started appearing around 1795. They established the first trading post here then. The first permanent settlers arrived in 1818. And beginning in the 1830s, lots more Europeans and Americans started to.
A lot of German people, right? I think there was more.
And then in the 1840s, the German immigrants started to arrive.
Oh, okay.
And by 1860, the city was roughly half German immigrants and then half mix of lots of other
And was
nationalities.
it back in the days in Milwaukee? Was this also like right now? Was it like North Side had its own people, South Side, East Side, or was it different that time? It was together.
It was. Yes and no. Okay, so in its early days, Milwaukee was essentially three villages. There was the east side of the river, the west side of the river, and then south of the Menominee River, and those were all sort of separate entities. On the east side of the river, you had what they called the Yankees, so Americans, British, and some other nations a little bit mixed in there. On the west side, it was the German. And then the south side tended to be more working class, Irish, and those groups. So they were definitely kind of segregated. And then what would happen over time is, as new groups moved in, the older groups would move further out of the center of the city. And so the new groups always kind of came into the oldest, most rundown areas, and the older groups that were more established and had more money would move to the outskirts. And so in that regard, Milwaukee always had these sort of centers of different immigrant groups or different nationalities or ethnicities.
Well, Milwaukee Milwaukee is a history place. You had a lot of history in here.
Yes.
I know because I was walking through the downtown and areas, Doorward, and I saw a lot of old buildings. So can you tell us, for like in your for your opinion, or what do you consider Milwaukee hidden treasures? Like what kind of buildings are so valuable to the city?
Sure. I mean, the cool thing about Milwaukee is it has one of the best collection of 19th century buildings left. So lots of cities similar to Milwaukee, Detroit, Cleveland, they tended to go through and knock down a lot of their old buildings, whereas Milwaukee did a really good job of preserving a lot of those buildings. So there's these beautiful churches that have been around for 150 years. There's huge buildings like the county courthouse and things like that are really sort of imposing. One of the cool things about Milwaukee is the Cream City brick. So that's that real kind of almost yellowish brick that you see everywhere. Most cities don't have that kind of brick. That's very much particular to Milwaukee. And so the fact that we've managed to retain a lot of those buildings, and in some places like the Pabst complex, they've worked really hard to restore the buildings and keep them around. That's what's really cool. So there's no one particular Milwaukee building that stands out for me. It's the fact that we've done a good job of retaining so many of our old buildings.
Because there's a lot of buildings. Like I was walking around and I was like, there's some that has a lot of architect designs and stuff that look so nice. Mm-hmm. But like you saw the Pabst one. Mm-hmm. I went yesterday through there, and I think where construction is all like abandoned, but they're working. It's all yellow, the bricks.
Yeah, exactly.
Is that only here in Milwaukee, you said, or is there somewhere?
No,
is that unique here?
Yeah, it's very unique to Milwaukee. There was something about the composition of the soil that when they made bricks, they didn't know this was going to happen. They went to make bricks, and they thought they'd get their normal red bricks, and they came out this cream color, so it became ubiquitous in Milwaukee in the 19th century. It was called the Cream City because of that. And there were other places that liked the cream brick. And so what they would do is, in other places, it would be sort of ornamentation. You'd have a red brick building, but there'd be a pattern of the cream brick going through it. Whereas in Milwaukee, they said there was so much of it that the city kind of glowed when the sun would shine. The one problem with the Cream City brick is that it attracts all the pollution and the dirt in the air. So now a lot of the buildings that we see that are Cream City brick are almost black because they've collected all that dirt over the years.
And around how many old buildings are around here in the city?
I couldn't even give you a good estimate, but there's probably there's probably at least 50 buildings that are at least 100 years old. Still in the
Is that
city.
here in the downtown area?
Yeah,
or?
in the downtown area. There are some in the outskirts. You know, there's houses. There's some houses that are 125 years old out in the outskirts a little bit.
Can you talk us a little about the City Hall? When was that? Is that like the oldest building here in town?
It's not the oldest, but the cool thing about City Hall was that when it was built, it was completed, I believe, in 1895. It was the tallest building, the tallest habitable building in the United States. The only other building that was taller was the Washington Monument. So it's hard to believe now you look at City Hall, and I mean, it's a big building, it's impressive, but it doesn't compare to any skyscraper or anything like that. But at the time, in 1895, it was the tallest building. Yeah, so it's very unique in that manner and stands out as well. One of our architects talks about how this is a 100-year building, so it's been here since 1913, and what we've been doing the last several years is to make sure that it can stand for another 100 years, so that we can be part of that Milwaukee fabric and history for a long time.
Well, hope that comes to reality.
Yes.
To be here for, because all these buildings are nice treasures for
Yes,
Milwaukee City.
absolutely.
But yeah, well, thank you for
You're welcome.
for
Thank
your
you.
interview. And where can people have information? How can they come here?
The best thing to do would be to get on our website. It's milwaukeehistory.net. All the information about visiting and our hours and rates and all that are there.
All right, well, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks.
Wow, Milwaukee really has a lot of hidden treasures in town. And there's a lot more to talk about, but hope you guys enjoyed this program. This has been Milwaukee's Hidden Treasure.